Imagine this, a shadowy figure in a Manhattan jail cell, surrounded by the hum of flickering fluorescent lights and the distant echoes of slamming doors. Jeffrey Epstein, the man who hobnobbed with presidents, princes, and billionaires, hangs lifeless from his bunk. Suicide, they say. But as the world reels from the news on that fateful August morning in 2019, a chilling question emerges. Did the truth hang with him? Or was it strangled long before, in the opulent mansions and private jets where power and predation intertwined? This isn't just a story of one man's depravity. It's a stark exposé of how the elite shield their own, how justice evaporates in the face of wealth, and how victims' cries echo through corridors of corruption that reach the highest echelons of society. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the abyss of the Epstein files. Not the myths, not the memes, but the cold, hard facts from court records, depositions, and unsealed documents that reveal a system rotten to its core. Let's start at the beginning, or at least as far back as we can trace this enigmatic predator. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't always the monster in the headlines. Born on January 20, 1953, in the bustling borough of Brooklyn, New York, to a modest Jewish family. His father a groundskeeper for the city's parks department. His mother a school aide. Epstein grew up in a world far removed from the gilded excess he would later embody. He attended Lafayette High School, where he showed an early aptitude for mathematics, skipping 2 grades and graduating at just 16. From there, he briefly enrolled at Cooper Union and then New York University, but he never earned a degree. Instead, Epstein parlayed his charm and intellect into a teaching gig at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan in 1973. It was here, amid the children of New York's elite, that his path to power began. One parent, Alan Greenberg, the head of Bear Stearns, was impressed enough to hire the young Dropout as a junior trader in 1976. Epstein climbed the ranks quickly, becoming a limited partner by 1980. But his time at Bear Stearns ended abruptly amid rumors of insider trading violations. Though no charges were filed. Undeterred, he struck out on his own, founding Intercontinental Assets Group, Inc. In 1981, a firm that ostensibly helped clients recover stolen money from fraudulent brokers. This venture marked the start of Epstein's reinvention as a financial wizard, a man who could make fortunes appear out of thin air. By the late 1980s, Epstein had ingratiated himself with Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of Limited Brands, parent company of Victoria's Secret. Wexner granted Epstein power of attorney over his vast empire, allowing him to manage billions in assets. This relationship was the rocket fuel for Epstein's wealth. Suddenly, he owned a $77 million townhouse on Manhattan's Upper East Side, the largest private residence in the city. A sprawling ranch in New Mexico called Zorro Ranch, a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands known as Little St. James, later dubbed Pedophile Island by locals, and another nearby island, Great St. James, he jetted around on his Boeing 727, infamously nicknamed the Lolita Express, after Vladimir Nabokov's novel about a middle-aged man's obsession with a 12-year-old girl. But how did a college dropout amass such riches? Investigative journalists, like those from Vanity Fair and the New York Times, dug deep and found nothing, no public hedge fund, no verifiable client list beyond Wexner, no transparent investment strategy. Epstein claimed his firm J. Epstein & Co., later financial trust company, catered exclusively to billionaires, requiring a minimum $1 billion net worth to join. Yet, when pressed, he could name only one, Wexner. Whispers persisted that his true business was something far more sinister. Blackmail, intelligence gathering, or worse. Court documents from Virginia Giuffre's defamation suit against Ghislaine Maxwell in 2015 hinted at Epstein's possible ties to intelligence agencies, with Maxwell allegedly telling Giuffre that Epstein had dealings with figures in Mossad or the CIA. While unproven, these connections explain how a man with no clear legitimate income lived like a king. Now, let's turn to the crimes that should have ended it all long, before 2019. The first cracks in Epstein's facade appeared in March 2005 when a 14-year-old girl walked into the Palm Beach Police Department with a harrowing tale. She claimed she was recruited by a classmate to give a massage at Epstein's waterfront mansion for $300. Once there, the massage turned sexual. Epstein masturbated while she was topless, and he paid her extra to bring friends. Detectives launched an investigation, interviewing dozens of girls, many as young as 14, who described a pyramid scheme of abuse. Recruiters like Haley Robson, then 18, would lure high school girls with promises of easy money. At the mansion, they'd be greeted by Sarah Kellen or Nadia Marcinkova, Epstein's assistants, and led upstairs where Epstein awaited in nothing but a towel. The assaults ranged from fondling to intercourse, often with Maxwell allegedly participating or watching. Victims reported being paid $200 to $300 per visit, plus bonuses for recruiting others. Police raided the mansion in October 2005, seizing computers, message pads, and photos of nude girls. One pad noted calls from high-profile names like Bill Clinton and Harvey Weinstein. The FBI got involved in 2006, expanding the probe under Operation Leap Year. By 2007, prosecutors had identified at least 40 victims, enough for charges that could have netted Epstein life in prison. Sex trafficking, racketeering, and more. But then the unthinkable happened. Instead of a federal trial, Epstein's dream team of lawyers, including Alan Dershowitz, Kenneth Starr, and Jay Lefkowitz, negotiated a sweetheart deal with U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta in Miami. Signed in secret on June 30, 2008, the non-prosecution agreement NPA allowed Epstein to plead guilty to just 2 state felony charges, procuring a minor for prostitution and solicitation. He served a paltry 13 months in the Palm Beach County, Stockade, not a federal prison, but a cushy county jail where he occupied a private wing. Even better for Epstein, he was granted work release, leaving jail 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to work at his Florida Science Foundation office. Guards drove him there. He flew on his jet for business. The deal also immunized 4 named co-conspirators: Kellen, Marcinkova, Adriana Ross, and Leslie Groff, and any potential co-conspirators. A blanket shield that could cover anyone from princes to presidents. Shockingly, this was hidden from the victims, violating the Crime Victims' Rights Act (CVRA). When victims like Courtney Wild sued in 2008 to invalidate the NPA, a federal judge ruled in 2019 that yes, their rights were violated, but by then Epstein was dead. Acosta, who approved the deal, later became Trump's Secretary of Labor, resigning amid backlash. In congressional testimony, Acosta claimed he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. Who gave that order? The files don't say, but they scream complicity. This protection didn't stop with the 2008 deal. Epstein continued his predations, undeterred. In 2011, Virginia Giuffre née Roberts went public in a Daily Mail interview, alleging she was trafficked by Epstein and Maxwell starting at age 17 in 1999. Giuffre claimed she was forced into sexual encounters with powerful men, including Prince Andrew, Bill Richardson, and George Mitchell, allegations all denied by those named. Her 2015 defamation suit against Maxwell unearthed troves of documents, emails showing Maxwell directing Giuffre's movements, flight logs from the Lolita Express listing passengers like Clinton, 26 flights though no wrongdoing alleged, Alan Dershowitz, and Naomi Campbell. The Black Book, seized in 2005 and leaked in 2015 by Gawker, contained over 1,500 contacts, from Alec Baldwin to Mick Jagger, from Ehud Barak to Tony Blair. Being in the book proves nothing criminal, but it illustrates Epstein's web. Why did Harvard accept $9 million from him post-conviction? Why did MIT Media Lab take $7.5 million, with director Joy Ito admitting they concealed it? Epstein funded scientists like Marvin Minsky and Stephen Hawking, even hosting a 2006 conference on gravity with Hawking on Little St. James. Photos show Hawking on the island, but again, no accusations of impropriety. The pattern: Epstein bought influence, and institutions looked away. Enter Ghislaine Maxwell, the linchpin of Epstein's operation. Born in 1961 in France to Robert Maxwell, a Czech-born British media tycoon who died mysteriously in 1991, falling off his yacht amid fraud scandals, Ghislaine was Oxford educated and socially connected. She met Epstein in the early 1990s through her father, who had business ties to him. By 1992, she was Epstein's girlfriend, then his right-hand woman. Victims described her as the recruiter-in-chief, approaching girls at spas, malls, or schools with promises of modeling gigs or scholarships. Johanna S. Joberg testified in a 2016 deposition that Maxwell would say, "Do you know any cute girls that can come over?" Giuffre alleged Maxwell trained her in sexual techniques and participated in orgies. Maxwell managed the households from the Paris apartment to the Palm Beach mansion, ensuring a steady supply of massage therapists. After Epstein's 2008 plea, Maxwell distanced herself publicly but allegedly continued aiding him. In 2019, she vanished, only to be arrested in New Hampshire in 2020. Her 2021 trial in New York was a bombshell. 4 victims testified to her grooming and abuse. Pilot Larry Vysotsky recounted flying Maxwell with Epstein and VIP. Maxwell was convicted on 5 counts, including sex trafficking of a minor, sentenced to 20 years. But her trial was narrowly focused. No client list, no co-conspirators charged. Maxwell appealed, claiming juror bias. 1 juror failed to disclose his own abuse history, but it was denied. Still, she maintains innocence, and her silence on others fuels speculation. Fast forward to July 6, 2019. Epstein steps off his Gulfstream jet at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, fresh from Paris. FBI agents swarm, arresting him on federal sex trafficking charges. The indictment, unsealed by the Southern District of New York, accused him of abusing dozens of minors from 2002-2005, paying them hundreds for massages that turned sexual and using them to recruit others. Unlike 2008, this was no slap on the wrist, potential life sentence. Epstein was denied bail, deemed a flight risk with his $500 million fortune, multiple passports including a fake Saudi one, and private planes. Held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center (MCC), a notorious facility, Epstein was placed on suicide watch after a July 23 incident where he was found injured in his cell. Bruises on his neck, possibly self-inflicted or an attack by his cellmate ex-cop Nicholas Tartagliani. Watch was lifted July 29. Then on August 10 at 6:30 a.m., guards found him unresponsive, a bedsheet noose around his neck tied to the bunk bed. CPR failed. He was pronounced dead at New York Presbyterian Hospital. Autopsy by Dr. Barbara Sampson ruled suicide by hanging, corroborated by the DOJ Inspector General report in 2023, blaming MCC negligence. Overworked guards falsified logs, cameras malfunctioned, though hallway footage showed no visitors, and his cellmate was transferred the day before. No foul play officially, but anomalies abound. Brother Mark Epstein claimed the body had fractures inconsistent with hanging, more like strangulation. Pathologist Michael Baden, hired by Mark, agreed. Conspiracy theories exploded. Epstein didn't kill himself became a meme. Attorney General William Barr, who oversaw the DOJ, expressed shock, ordering investigations. 2 guards were charged with falsifying records, but got deferred prosecution. The result: no trial, no testimony from Epstein on his accomplices or clients. The aftermath unleashed a flood of documents. In 2019, Judge Loretta Prescott ordered the unsealing of Giuffre's suit files over 2,000 pages. More came in 2023-2024 from suits against JPMorgan Chase, settled for $290 million, and Deutsche Bank $75 million. alleging they ignored red flags like Epstein withdrawing $40,000 plus in cash monthly for tips and massages. The files named names. Johanna Estjoberg testified Prince Andrew groped her. He settled Giuffre's suit for $16 million in 2022, denying wrongdoing. Bill Clinton was mentioned 50-plus times, but no accusations of abuse, mostly social ties. Donald Trump flew on the jet once in 1997 with family, but banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago in 2004 after a girl recruiting incident. Alan Dershowitz was accused by Giuffre of abuse he denies. Suit dropped. Gene. Luke Brunel, a modeling scout, was named as a recruiter. He suicided in a French jail in 2022. The files exposed institutional failures. Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Reiter called the 2008 deal the worst failure of the criminal justice system in modern times. The FBI delayed action despite tips in 1996 about Epstein and models. Media complicity too. ABC Amy Robot caught on Hot Mic in 2019, saying she had the story in 2015, but was spiked. We had Clinton, we had everything. Vanity Fair's 2003 profile omitted abuse allegations after Maxwell's pressure. What does this all expose? Not just Epstein's evil, but a two-tiered justice system. If Epstein were a poor man from Brooklyn abusing girls, he'd rot in prison after the first complaint. But with wealth and connections, he operated for decades. Victims like Maria Farmer reported him to the FBI in 1996, ignored. Sean T. Davies, abused on the island, said Epstein bragged about owning politicians. The Virgin Islands suit against JPMorgan revealed Epstein gave $150,000 to Larry Summers, referred Jess Staley clients. Epstein's philanthropy abort silence, $30 million to Harvard, funding Bill Gates projects. Gates flew the jet post conviction, regrets ties. The media's selective outrage focusing on salacious names while ignoring systemic enablers compounds the injustice. Why no charges against Kellen or Marcinkova, immunized in 2008? Marcinkova, allegedly brought to the U.S. at 15 by Epstein, was described in files as his sex slave, yet also an abuser. Justice remains elusive. Giuffre settled with Prince Andrew, but many victims via the Epstein Victims Compensation Fund got payouts from his $630 million estate, sold off. Islands included Littleson. James bought by Stephen Deckhoff for $60 million in 2023. Maxwell rots in prison, but appeals continue. In 2024, more Unsealed. Sigrid Macaulay, victim's lawyer, pushed for transparency. Yet the full client list, non-existent. Per prosecutors, Epstein wasn't running a brothel for elites, but his own gratification, they claim. Skeptics disagree, pointing to hidden videos FBI raided in 2019. Found CD labeled young name plus name. Palm Beach mansion had cameras everywhere. Where's the footage? In the end, Epstein's death didn't bury the truth. It exhumed it. Victim's bravery. Giuffre, wild, Jane does. Forced reckonings. But the haunting question lingers. How many Epsteins still lurk in the shadows of power? If a billionaire pedophile can evade justice for 20 years, what hope for the average victim? The files aren't closed, they're a warning. Silence from the powerful isn't ignorance, it's complicity. And until we demand accountability from all, the shadows will only grow longer.